Hi everyone, this is Carol Ann Speaks, The State of Our World on Monday, April 5th, 2021. So what is it? Good, better, and different? All three. Very serious. Coronavirus is still with us. People are still complaining about having to wear a mask, practice social distancing, only go out when they have to, only socialize with those in the immediate household. Complain, complain, complain. So, but a lot of people are getting vaccinated, so that's good. But there are new variants out there uh, that are making things worse. Not, not good. So the thing is, we have to um, really, really crack down on the protesters and the state governors who are trying to keep, uh, trying hard not to do the right thing, like in Florida, uh, before you get it. I don't know. We'll find out. Uh, Everyone needs to know they have to do what's right for them, but without harming anyone else. And that seems to be the key. So, we've been talking a lot about the virus. That's only natural because has killed over 550,000 people. But is that the only thing there is to talk about? No, there are lots of things to talk about. A lot of things in the news. Um, Now, unfortunately, the world's poorest nations face a setback as India suspends vaccine exports amid fight over patent rights. So the drug manufacturers have been given the money to create the drugs, and now they're fighting so they get patent rights over these drugs. Not fair. In Ethiopia, is accused of using rape as a weapon of war in Tigray province as new evidence emerges of massacres. So what is it with these countries? I mean, Ethiopia is a poor country, and why do they want to have colonies and treat people as substandard and allowing their troops to assault women and kill people? So I don't know. Now, a year before Martin Luther King was killed, he uh, had a speech, and which is 53 years ago, and he opposed poverty, racism, and militarism. Sound familiar? We still have poverty, racism, and militarism. And so who knows? Also, Georgia's voting suppression law, people wondering will that law be repealed as big business joins critics opposing Jim Crow suppression. Who knows? We'll just have to see. Because right now we just don't know what it's going to be. But we have to do something. India should not stop making the vaccine, and big pharmaceuticals should waive their patent rights. But will they? Because the poorest countries that depend on certain vaccines are not going to get vaccines if India does not produce them. So I don't know what it is. It's a very, very strange situation. Hey, why is India suspending? Because the pharmaceuticals are demanding patent rights. Very unfortunate. Now, that's, just some of the things, but that's the way it is. We have a world that's very brutal, and it's time for everyone to be more humane, because that's the fair thing to do. Now, we've been talking a lot about the coronavirus, but there are other things going on in the world. Now, if we go back a ways and go all the way back to World War II, there's two really good shows. This series that started on PBS, Public Broadcasting, last night, Sunday, April 4th. One was My Grandparents' War. Helena Bonham Carter is an actress who explores the heroism of both sets of her grandparents during World War II. Her grandmother, an air warden in England, and outspoken politician, and her grandfather, a diplomat who saved hundreds from the Holocaust. And she talks about her family. She actually goes to where her grandparents lived during the war, and meets some relatives who were there, and it's very interesting. It's very tragic that these people did a lot. These were not poor people, and they did a lot. They did what they thought was the right thing to help people. They were marked as uh, for death if Germany ever conquered Britain, and they did the right thing to help people, in spite of the fact that they really didn't have to. They were elite people. They had plenty of money, plenty of power, but they did what they thought was the right thing. Now, this is on PBS. The first episode was last night, and it'll continue on for several more episodes. I highly recommend it. It kind of fits in with what we have now, what these people went through, the suffering they had, and they still managed to do the right thing. And many people were killed. Germany bombed London for over 50 days, and about 60,000 people were killed in England, London. So, a lot of England really suffered, the British really suffered, but yet after the war was over, they refused to give up their colonies. And for instance, Burma is a prime example that they turned Burma over to the military, the Burmese military, for 50 years. And then the military did create civilian rule in Burma, but then they just took it back on February 1st, less than 2 months ago. So what is that all about? Also, there was another show on that started, another series started last night it's called Crossing the Atlantic. So that was interesting, I thought, and it deals with the royal family of Norway during World War II, and how Franklin Roosevelt, our president, hosted that royal family in America, and then he went to visit. And the royal family is the wife is a Swedish citizen, a Swedish princess, and the husband is a Norwegian prince. And it shows how they dealt with World War II and the things they did to help their people. um, it talks about the reality of war, being deprived of your rights, being bombed, constant violence, the Germans not really caring about any living thing, just the power. And it shows what they went through with their children, and the rest of their family. It was the first episode last night. It'll continue for a while. There'll be several episodes. But the thing is, these people during World War II, they um, suffered a lot, and they didn't complain. They just dealt with it. Whereas now, people complaining about everything. They don't want to wear a mask. They don't want to practice social distancing. They don't want to be told when they can go out and what activities they can participate in. So I think it's a really good look back at history, and nothing has changed because we now have people dealing with all kinds of things. We have violence all over the world. We have racism. Uh, it's it's a very sad commentary on the human race, and I really recommend watching this show, Crossing the Atlantic, and check out PBS to find out uh, when it's available in your town. Okay, now that is a lot. Uh, and we haven't had a war fought here on U.S. soil since the Civil War of the 1860s, and wars have been going on in Europe for a long time. Uh, Europe was pretty much demolished by these wars, and we helped to rebuild it after World War II. But people just don't seem to understand the actions they take. With our country is supporting the war in um, Yemen that Saudi Arabia is waging. This kind of conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran, having to do with different versions of Islam and power. And Yemen um, has a new government, and Saudi Arabia doesn't like the new government, so what they've been doing is blockading the ports there. And many people have died. And our country has been giving them air support for doing this. And that I believe our country will stop doing that. But we're not like vigorously protesting Saudi Arabia's war against Yemen. So I really truly recommend if you watch these shows, My Grandparents' War and Crossing the Atlantic, you realize that the wars we have now are totally unnecessary, and we shouldn't be uh, fighting these wars in Asia or anywhere, and we should have a very generous immigration policy, and allowing people their dignity and not locking them up, not separating families, uh, not demonizing people who are not like you, etc. So anyway, I highly recommend these shows on PBS. Now, how that's a lot of news. And so how about a little song? Okay. The song I'd like to sing today is called okay, why don't we do how about um how about Amazing Grace? I think that kind of fits in. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Okay, that was amazing, Grace. I hope you liked it. Thank you for joining us this evening of Monday, April 5th, 2021, for another meeting of Carol Ann Speaks, The State of Our World. Hope you'll be back with us again tomorrow. And remember, stay safe, take care of yourself and others, wear a mask only out when you have to, practice social distancing, and remember, kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a very long way. Thank you. Good night. Stay safe. See ya.